Understood. I ought to have taken whiskey to the workplace the day Caleb Morrison strutted into Senior X like he just conceived commerce. He glided through the spinning entrances sporting that conceited Wall Street smile they distribute with each costly MBA. And once the lift chimed open, there he stood, already discussing enhancing synergy to the front desk clerk like she cared. I observed from the rear, silent, gripping my Java like it was a sacred artifact. He did not see me. Naturally, he did not dot mails like Caleb never do, not until it is far too late. The journey to the 27th level felt like a captive scenario. Caleb was keeping the whole compartment hostage with his tone. Enthusiastic about lean operations, he stated, obviously not understanding that each person in that elevator had been maintaining this corporation functioning while he was still receiving denial notices from companies with genuine requirements. Then arrived the climax. Just wait to encounter the heritage personnel, he giggled, with all the smug elegance of a young child grasping a flame near a propane leak. That was myself. I was the heritage personnel. Fast aside, while we are still in the tranquility preceding the blaze, 93% of you hearing right now are not subscribed. That is like coming to my memorial and not even faking to weep. Press that like, press subscribe. It informs the squad we are performing something correct, and believe me, what is approaching merits front row chairs. Proceed to Caleb. By the time we reached the 27th level, he had name-dropped McKinsey, mangled the enunciation of synergetic, and referred to our CFO Martha instead of Martin. I exited first, took a lengthy drink of acidic charred Java, and breathed out via my nostrils like a bull preparing for butchering. I already understood how this tale would unfold, or at minimum, I believed I did. What I did not anticipate, the precise effectiveness with which our new COO, recent recruitment from a private equity company in Scottsdale, transferred me. Evolving your duty, she stated, we perceive you more in a consulting function progressing ahead. Eyes on the lengthy game. It was corporate lingo for please go perish silently in a corner while the new child receives credit for your life's labor. I grinned, stated thanks, agreed like a nodding doll at a tax workshop. But then I strolled back to my office, closed the door, and opened a new manila folder aimed at Caleb Morrison document trail. Inserted a printed email sequence I had been collecting for 2 years. That was the day I quit utilizing SharePoint and began utilizing my printer like it was indebted to me. He acted swiftly. Within 7 days, I was removed from each strategy email chain I had once established. My schedule was emptier than his CV. He reassigned 2 of my best analysts, genuine skill, the sort you do not locate on LinkedIn without a payoff to himself. Informing them they would possess greater upward exposure. They appeared stunned. One of them mouthed apology to me as he packed his ergonomic seat. I did not contest it. I did not plead. I just purchased a new flash drive, saved every pipeline, contactless, supplier chain, and investor memo I had managed since 2008. I arranged it by agreement phase, tagged everything down to the aroma of the boardroom at completion time. Individuals believe retribution is noisy. Mine was a murmur, 1 kilobyte at a time. He strutted into our Thursday executive meeting with a presentation he did not compose, and a jest regarding how we previously did things. Each phrase had the slick shine of somebody who believes velocity equals genius. Chekier. I took notes, not on what he stated, but on who chuckled. The last straw arrived when he termed my work fundamental, but old-fashioned during an M and a preparation call. Stated it with a grin, directly before the junior personnel. You have set the base, he sneered, now we construct. I gazed at the Zoom screen so long I began seeing deceased relatives. Then I shut my laptop, switched off the light, and sat in the darkness for 20 solid minutes, inhaling via my teeth. Heritage personnel, that is what he termed me. I would demonstrate to him what heritage truly signifies. It commenced with the calendar invitations. One by one, they vanished like insects under a kitchen light. First, it was the Thursday morning finance meeting gone. The internal by readiness huddles. The ones I previously managed, now I could not even view them. Caleb must have cancelled my visibility, line by line like he was etching my name off a gravestone. Then came the genuine hit, SharePoint. I signed in Monday morning to upload an updated vendor sheet. Entry refused. Just a red banner crossed my display like a corporate insult. You do not possess authorization to view this document. Amusing. I emailed IT. Response was a masterpiece in fear. Entry to strategic expansion directories is presently restricted per demand from VP Morrison. No regret, No clarification. Like I had been deleted by God himself in a polo shirt and loafers. Caleb did not declare any of this openly. That would have required courage. He functioned like a roach, quick, concealed, and just slick enough to slip through the fissures. He began conducting preparation sessions without me, once where I previously presented. Then I observed my junior squad, 2 analysts and a business development associate, were abruptly all included on projects I'd never known of. I spotted one of them in the break area practicing a slide he clearly did not create. When he saw me, he recoiled like I was holding a weapon. Morrison desires it efficient, he muttered. He states like unified leadership is crucial during change phases. I nodded. He is correct. Yeah. Just recall who instructed you what unified signifies. That night I remained late, workplace deceased. Quiet except for the cleaner's cart rattling past HR. I opened my fireproof drawer, took out a pile of printed binders I had not touched in years, agreements, email sequences, version records of our purchase plan, each stage of the purchaser pipeline, each note I had taken, each quote I had collected, each red line I had battled for did not just possess entry to the bones of the steel. I cultivated the skeleton. By 11:47 p.m., I was 6 cups deep into tepid coffee and midway through printing out a 202-page vendor proposal that still had my initials in the footer. The printer started complaining under the load. I whispered to it like an old companion, "Not yet, darling. We still have tasks to complete." I did not rage. I did not storm into anyone's office, took that anger and poured it into filing tabs, timestamps, and color-coded highlighters. Caleb believed he was removing me, but all he was truly doing was compelling me to create a superior version of myself offline and unreachable. And then I recalled Martin, who once informed me in a rear corridor during a 2015 offsite, "You are the sole reason I still trust this corporation with 7 figures. Martin now sat on the board of the parent company seeking to absorb us like a vitamin supplement. I had not spoken to him in over a year, but I still possessed the burner Gmail I utilized to assist resolve vendor conflicts off-grid. I cleaned it off, composed a message, subject, supply chain continuity, heritage escalation body. Circling back on archival pipeline structure per prior ownership, possess original materials and version records, verifying if continuity clauses are still under your evaluation. I read it 3 times. No names, no trackable attachments, just sufficient sent to obtain his attention. Press send. Then I sat back in my seat, gazing at the last sent timestamp, like it was a countdown clock. Caleb possessed the keys to the kingdom, but I possessed the blueprints, the contractor's name, and a very quiet door at the rear. Understood something was approaching the instant Caleb swaggered into the Monday leadership meeting sporting that cologne that smelled like insecurity and Axe body spray had an infant. He sat at the head of the desk like he had been born there, not airlifted in 6 weeks ago by a COO attempting to impress the board with new blood. The space hummed with fake amusement and cautious eye contact, the sort you receive right before a termination or a reorganization or both. Before we plunge into metrics, Caleb stated, smoothing his tie like he just won a case against humility, "I wish to share a fast update on the purchase alignment presentation." He tapped the clicker. The TV on the far wall flickered awake. My stomach sank. There, in all its corrupted splendor, was the pipeline architecture I had spent 9 months designing presented as his structure. He altered the font, removed the color coding, slapped a new heading on top, optimized purchaser funnel Q3 expansion by C. Morrison, but the bones mined down to the staggered rollout sequence and the red flagged vendor risks on slide 14. This is what I will be guiding the purchasers through next Friday. Caleb stated, smiling like he just cured cancer with a Gantt chart. Virginia will be assisting from the sidelines as she has been instrumental in our foundational work. Assisting from the sidelines looked right at me when he stated it. And I swear on everything holy that smirk he gave me was the kind of smirk only given by males who have never been told no by a woman with more records than tax lawyer during audit season. The room moved subtly. A few executives looked down at their notepads. One VP of operations offered a hesitant nod, the same sort individuals give at funerals when they do not know what else to state. I nodded back, calm, controlled. I stated nothing, did not need to. After the meeting, I walked past the open plan cubicles, past Caleb's fake motivational quotes about hustle and grit taped to the glass walls. I passed my old team who would not meet my gaze and slipped into my office, locked the door, sat down, opened the encrypted flash drive, new folder, purchase original materials authored by VB, subfolders, purchaser contact timeline, initial architecture drafts, source files with the metadata, red lines and version logs, internal correspondence, pre-Caleb. It was all there, the DNA of the agreement. I dragged the leaked presentation into a new folder titled Plagiarized Modified by CM, side-by-side comparisons, PDF timestamps, email trails, audio snippets from early scoping calls where I literally said out loud the phrases he now paraded as his own. Then I opened my email, drafted a single message, saved it in drafts, subject IP ownership deal flow authorship body. Please find attached timeline and file metadata showing authorship lineage for purchase architecture. Stored under private credential vault can release pending legal query. I did not send it, not yet, because Caleb believed the battleground was the boardroom. He did not realize I had already relocated the conflict underground. The worst portion was not the theft or the humiliation. Even the casual way he erased me like I was a footnote in a presentation, he never had the intelligence to build. No, the worst portion was observing my own squad pretend they did not see it. The identical individuals I had defended, covered for, promoted. Now sitting silent while a haircut in a suit rewrote my heritage in bullet points and buzzwords. But that silence, it was not permanent. I just needed to outlast it. And when it broke, I would ensure the sound was deafening, arrived at 2:13 a.m., the sort of hour when even the HR bot stopped sending passive-aggressive reminders about incomplete trainings. My burner Gmail pinged once, just a soft notification glow in the corner of my otherwise black screen. No subject line, just a file attachment named TXN clause, V3 draft tank, and a note beneath it, written like a whisper in the dark. They kept your original wording. Believed you should know. I gazed at it for a moment, sipping microwave coffee that tasted like betrayal and paperclips. I had forgotten how Martin operated, subtle, sparse, and always 20 moves ahead. The man could write a contract clause the way poets wrote eulogies. I downloaded the file, decrypted it using the old passphrase we had set up back in 2016 during the Elmer merger, Ghostwood, long story, involving a hotel minibar, a flood, a shared hatred of phone business cards. The document opened, page 4, paragraph 7. There it was, my words, my structure, my tone. Operational transition shall proceed in accordance with the pre-existing continuity plan barring disputes of authority. I exhaled slowly, like I had just seen my name carved in granite, not gone, just buried. I read it again. Then I clicked into the body of the paragraph, careful not to disturb the rest of the formatting, and added a single sentence. In such cases, executive continuity will fall to the most tenured operations lead, effective immediately upon dispute recognition. I stared at it. Not a power grab, not a smoking gun, just inevitability. It was not even about revenge anymore. Caleb desired credit. He could have the applause. I desired the outcome. I desired the deal safe, the buyer stable, the company intact, thanks to the fool currently parading through town halls with a wireless mic and an ego that needed its own zip code. I removed all author metadata, flattened the PDF, re-encrypted it, then sent it back. No signature, no best regards, no trace of Virginia Barnes, just a silent return to sender. I closed my laptop and leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling tiles like they owed me answers. Somewhere in a skyscraper 3 time zones away, Martin would read that sentence. He would know exactly what it meant, and he would not say a word, because men like Martin did not need explanations. He just needed that clause to exist quietly, like a fire escape no one noticed until the building caught flames. The next morning, Caleb burst into the weekly all-hands meeting like a prom king who just found out the crown came with stock options. He stood up front in a tailored jacket too tight for his shoulders and delivered his updates like a man narrating his own documentary. Deal momentum is strong, alignment is tight, we are negotiating from a place of strength, the team applauded. I smiled and tapped my pen once against my notepad. They did not know the deal had a heartbeat because I had kept it alive behind the curtain. Did not know the buyer's faith hadn't collapsed because Martin had quietly told them. She is still here. Do not worry. They did not know that beneath the spreadsheets and logistics and jargon storms, a single sentence now sat coiled in the legal structure, waiting. Not for revenge, not even for recognition, just for the right moment. And when that moment came, it would not be loud. It would be written in 12-point font Times New Roman. At the bottom of page 4 could smell the tension before you even stepped into the room. That sterile, over-conditioned hotel conference air mixed with the sweaty desperation of men trying to justify their titles. Everyone wore suits like armor, navy blue, crisp, overpriced, and clutched their coffee like it contained the last traces of their authority. This was it. Final purchase meeting, the confrontation. I took my seat near the far wall, not at the table, near it, next to the coat rack beside a ficus and a silent speakerphone unit blinking in soft apology. No notepad, no laptop, just me and a small mania envelope unlabeled resting quietly beside my folded hands. Across the room, Caleb held court like he was auditioning for a role in a movie he did not understand. He paced as he spoke, that telltale nervous energy disguised as bravado. Voice just loud enough to drown out nuance. So, to reiterate, he stated, tapping on a slide that could have been made by a bored intern with a free PowerPoint template, we have streamlined operational continuity through vertical integration. The deal's locked, transition will be seamless. We own the operations side. We control the transition. He flashed a smile at the buyer's lead counsel, Angela Pierce, a woman with cheekbones that could cut glass and a legal mind built entirely of razors. She did not smile back. Just tilted her head slightly. She was watching a child explain how airplanes work. I do have a question, she stated, her voice like chilled gin. Section 7 references a continuity clause. I would like clarification on that language. Caleb waved it off like a mosquito. Standard stuff, boilerplate. It does not affect the buyer's rights. All transition authority routes through my office. Legal knows that. He did not even glance in my direction. Angela looked over at me. I did not move. Did not blink. Just placed one fingertip on the edge of the envelope, gave it the gentlest nudge like I was testing the weight of silence. Caleb was still talking about synergies, about momentum, about value acceleration. He dropped jargon bombs like he thought they would explode into credibility. Scalable leverage, asset harmonization, stakeholder fluidity. Somewhere a Soros cried out in pain. The lead investor, Martin, sat at the far end of the table, still calm, watching, had not said a word yet, which was the financial world's version of God clearing his throat. As I was stating, Caleb continued, spinning the remote in his hand like a magician prepping a trick. We have pre-aligned all department heads and scope deliverables. There is no ambiguity on who is steering the ship. That is why I have taken point on this. The slide behind him showed an org chart with his name glowing like the sun. My name, gone. Erased like a typo he thought no one would notice. Angela turned a page in her binder slowly. Martin leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. That envelope beside me was still untouched. Because you do not have to raise your voice when the words are already planted. You do not need a laptop when the power's already shifted. You do not need to interrupt a man digging his own grave, just quietly hand him a sharper shovel. I glanced around the room. COO stiff as a board, CFO pretending not to sweat through his collar. One junior associate texting beneath the table, probably updating a resume just in case. Caleb was still going. Point is, he stated, clapping his hands together. Mayor, this deal runs smooth because I have simplified the handoff. We have got alignment, we have got vision, and frankly, we have got control. That is how we do things at Cinerex under this leadership. He smiled again. Then right on cue he stated it. That line, when I had waited 3 months to hear, do you know who I am? And the room finally stopped breathing. Angela Pierce was mid-sentence, parsing a clause with all the precision of a surgeon slicing open a tumor when Caleb did the thing I knew he would. The thing he could not do. He interrupted her, loudly, abruptly, with a hand gesture that somehow managed to insult both her intelligence and her manicure. Look, he stated, his voice rising with that frat boy confidence that smells like Red Bull and failing upward. Do you know who I am? It was not a question, it was a challenge, the sort you throw out when you have cornered yourself in a lie and think sheer volume can rescue you. And just like that, the room froze. Angela's pen paused mid-glide. The junior analyst who had been nervously chewing on his pen cap stopped mid-bite. Even the projector seemed to hold its breath, fans suddenly too loud in the silence he left behind. I did not move for a second. Then slowly, like I was brushing lint off the fabric of reality, I reached over, picked up the manila envelope, and pulled out a single matte black business card. No logo, no title. Just white lettering on thick, textured stock. Virginia Barnes, Executive Advisor, Operations Continuity. I slid it across the table to Angela without a word. She picked it up delicately, and it over. Her eyebrows ticked upward just a fraction. Then she looked up at Martin. Martin did not say a word. He just leaned back in his chair, lips curling into a smirk like he had been waiting for this moment since the Stone Age. Then he turned to Caleb. Actually, son, do you know who she is? Boom. It did not come with music or slow-motion camera pans, but it may as well have, because Caleb blinked, then blinked again. For the first time since he stepped foot into this company, he did not have a damn word to say. His mouth opened, but nothing came out, like a fish flopping on the deck. Suddenly aware it is no longer in control of the water. Angela gently placed the business card down on the binder in front of her. She flipped a few pages, then she found it. Clause 7B, Transition Protocols. Her voice, when it came, was silk wrapped around a dagger. Funny, his name matches the signature embedded in our earliest clause draft. You would not happen to know how that language got in here, would you? Caleb looked down at his folder, flipping pages like maybe, just maybe, there was an escape hatch hiding between the lines. Martin just chuckled under his breath. Sit down, he stated. Not loud, not harsh, just final. Caleb did because there was nothing else to do. I sat perfectly still, hands folded, unchoked, breathing steady. It did not gloat, I did not grin. That was not the move, because the best part about power is not showing it off. It is knowing exactly when to say nothing and letting everyone else feel it quake beneath their chairs. Angela did not flinch. Did not hesitate. She opened her thick leather-bound folder like she was slicing open a chest cavity. Her hands moved with surgical precision. Tabs, highlights, red ribbons sticking out like arteries. She flipped to the page with the grace of a priest flipping scripture mid-sermon. Clause 7B, Transition Oversight and Continuity Protocols, she stated, reading aloud. Her voice cut through the room like piano wire. Martin adjusted his cufflinks. The COO shifted in his chair like his spine. Suddenly remembered it had guilt. Angela quote. Eyes scanned the page slow, deliberate, and then she read it word for word. In such cases, executive continuity will fall to the most tenured operations lead, effective immediately upon dispute recognition. The silence that followed felt biblical. You could hear Caleb's throat click as he swallowed hard. His face lost all its fresh tan arrogance and turned the kind of pale you only see when a man realizes he has been playing Monopoly and everyone else is dealing in cash. This was not in the last draft, he stammered, flipping through his own thinner folder like maybe. Just maybe the universe had printed him a different reality. Angela tilted her head calmly. It is in the signed one. She slid her copy across the table, the one with the ink still fresh from the Daku signed timestamp. My clause, my words, my signature, hidden deep in the metadata where only someone like Angela would bother to look. Caleb looked to the COO. She did not even blink, just stared at the clause like it had personally betrayed her. Like the blood on the floor was hers, and no one had told her she was bleeding. Martin finally spoke. I believe that satisfies the legal concern. He did not look at Caleb, did not need to. Angela turned a few more pages. According to this language, the moment a dispute occurs, such as conflicting statements of control or unauthorized chain of command, transition responsibility is automatically reassigned to the most tenured operations lead. Her eyes flicked toward me. No emotion, just fact. I sat still. Calm, my hands resting gently on the edge of the table like I had always been there. Caleb blinked once. Oh. Twice. This clause rewrites the entire. Angela raised a hand. It enforces what was already approved. You should have read the full document before signing off on a version you did not write. Opened his mouth again, but nothing useful came out. Just fragments. Noise. Martin stood up slowly. We appreciate your enthusiasm, Mr. Morrison. but this meeting is now under Miss Barnes's purview." He looked at me. That was the first time my name had been said aloud in the room, and it did not need fireworks. Just gravity. I nodded. Once. Then reached into the same envelope I had brought in earlier, pulled out a slim binder, original source documents tabbed and time-stamped. Handed it silently to Angela. She took it without a word, flipped to the front page, then smiled. Not wide, just enough. And that is when I knew the game had shifted, not with a bang, but with a sentence on page 4. Angela closed the binder like a judge banging a gavel. One smooth motion, no raised voice, no room for debate. Then she turned to Martin with that same icy elegance and stated, "Per Clause 7b, would like to proceed with transition to the most tenured operations lead, effective immediately." Martin did not miss a beat. "Will honor that request." Just like that, the room cracked clean down the middle. Caleb jolted forward in his chair, hands splayed like he was stopping a car crash mid-impact. "Hold on, wait. You cannot just switch point mid-meeting. We have already submitted the deliverables under my office. The strategy alignment's been routed through me. This does not make sense." Martin did not even look at him. He turned his gaze toward Angela, and he risked from a protocol change. She barely shrugged. No disruption expected. Frankly, the documentation's tighter under bonds. That one sentence landed like a guillotine. Caleb looked to the COO, desperation rising behind his eyes now, his confidence curdling into panic. "Karen, say something. You brought me in for this exact transition. You told the board." The COO did not say a word. She simply stood, walked behind Caleb's chair, and picked up his company-issued tablet like it was radioactive. No eye contact, no speech, just a soft nod toward the hallway. The sort of nod that stated, "Your services are no longer required. Please collect your ego and go." He froze, then looked at me. I did not gloat, did not move, just met his eyes like he was already in the rearview mirror. Angela spoke again. "Proceed with Miss Barnes as our liaison. Her original architecture aligns more closely with investor risk models, and she has a pre-existing trust record with our due diligence team." The translation was simple. She has been the adult in the room the whole time. "We are done pretending otherwise." Martin leaned forward, elbows on the table. "We are investing in stability, not bluster." That was it. The nail in the coffin, not shouted, not underlined, just delivered with the calm of a man who signs checks bigger than most people's retirements. Caleb looked around the room one last time. Nobody met his gaze. Not the COO, not the junior analyst he had hijacked from my team, not even the intern who used to hang on his every acronym. He opened his mouth to object again, then thought better of it. He stood up, slow. Shoulders sagging, suit wrinkled now under the fluorescent lights, looked down at the table like maybe somewhere his name would still be carved in the wood, but it was not, because he never built anything here. He just borrowed the spotlight. And now it was mine again, not because I yelled, not because I demanded, but because I had written the script and stayed silent long enough to let everyone else realize they had been reading the wrong damn lines. Caleb stood at the threshold of the conference room. Jaw slack, breath shallow, like a man who'd just realized the GPS he followed led him straight into traffic. His suit jacket, so crisp this morning, now hung crooked off his shoulders like even the fabric was ashamed to be seen with him. He turned slowly, one last shot at reclaiming some shred of power. His voice cracked low, finally broke the hush hanging over the room. "You did this." Everyone turned to me. I did not blink, did not move. Just let the silence stretch long enough for the shame to burn into his skin. Then, finally, I smiled. The kind of smile you save for when your body's done aching, and all that's left is clarity. "I wrote the playbook," I stated, voice smooth and calm as rainfall. "You just read the headlines." His mouth opened, then closed. Nothing came out because what could he say? He had not just lost the room, he had been disqualified from it because he was too young or too green, or even too smug. But because he never bothered to learn the rules, I made them. Angela slid her folder shut. Martin stood up and walked toward me, slow, deliberate. He held a slim, dark folder in his left hand, same kind they only bring out when what's inside changes the direction of your whole damn life. And whoom. He handed it to me without a word. I opened it. Inside a formal letter from the parent firm. No fluff, no preamble, just heritage on paper. My fingertips rested on the signature line, tracing the letters like they were braille carved into history. Caleb watched from the doorway like a man who just learned gravity worked differently now. That up was no longer up. That the woman he had sidelined had not only written the rules, she had already rewritten the ending, lingered a moment longer, waiting for someone to stop him, to rescue him, to say his name. No one did. The CEO was still seated. Angela had already turned back to her binder. The intern was refreshing a spreadsheet. The CFO was texting under the table. The room had moved on, and then so did he. He turned and walked out. The glass door sighed shut behind him. I did not watch him go. Did not need to. Instead, I looked back at the conference table. My table now, scattered with contracts I designed, clauses I had written, decisions I had made in the shadows while Caleb was playing charades with titles. I sat down, one hand still resting on the new offer folder. No gloating, no dramatics, just peace. The kind that comes from knowing you do not need to be loud to win. You just have to outlast the noise long enough to become the silence that follows. Big thanks, you legends of the old office days. Subscribe to keep the switch flicking chaos alive. Your ex-boss is shaking in their loafers. If you like the story, please don't forget to like and subscribe.